Hello, my name's Christian. I'm going to tell you a little bit about a tsunami dream I had. Well, firstly, I've had 4 tsunami dreams, but I'll tell you the first one. It concerns Australia, Sydney, Australia. I was in a location which looked very similar to where I grew up. The coastal area of Sydney is sandstone, high sandstone cliffs, probably a couple of 100 feet high. I was in a house in this dream. It was a 2-story house. I was on the 2nd floor. It was a bedroom window. There was a bed in the window, and there was a man in that room with me. He was an African man, and I wasn't familiar with him. I didn't know him personally, and I was not familiar with him in any way. I'd not seen him ever before. And on this particular day, I was looking out the window. And I was looking at the sea, and I noticed a vessel on the sea which was like a commercial fishing vessel, one that I'm not familiar with, which I wouldn't see very often. Not a common sight off the coast of Sydney. The sea was quite rough, which was unusual. Sydney seas can be rough, but this was unusually rough. It was very choppy and quite a large swell. The vessel that I noticed in the water seemed to be, or the appearance I had in the dream, was that it was not able to control its movements anymore. It was at the mercy of what the sea was doing. And I believe that that was so I could understand that this sea was behaving unusually to what it would normally behave. I tried to draw attention to what was happening to the other man that was in the room with me, but he didn't seem to be too concerned about it. It was if he had already was aware of it without looking at it. And as I looked, I saw the sea become more severe. I tried to get his attention again, but he sort of just smiled and he lied down on the bed. He wasn't concerned about getting up to look out the window to have a look at the sea. As I looked back towards the water, I noticed that the water dropped in level as opposed to the height of the cliff, which I was on, and it retreated a little bit, but then, all of a sudden, it became a massive wave that engulfed the whole cliff and even the house which we were in, to the very point that as I watched this water coming, racing, this massive wave, racing towards the house, all of a sudden it smashed up against the window I was looking out of, and the dream was over. This was such a real dream. It was as if it was really happening. And it was the most unusual dream because it is something I'd never considered, an event like that taking place in Sydney. The very thought of the water rising that high to engulf the cliffs of Sydney would be something you could never imagine because they're so high. Nevertheless, in the dream, I saw it happen, and I was in the dream. Once again, I've had 4 of these dreams. Different locations, different people involved. Nevertheless, a tsunami dream. Now, with this particular dream, once again, it was at a location I was familiar with. It looked similar to an area where I grew up as a small child, but it wasn't exactly it. The house was similar to the type of houses which a builder in my street builds. And the other man in the dream, the African man, is someone who I was not familiar with. I'd never seen him before. Now, the very next day, I received an email. I hadn't told anyone about this dream. I received an email from a friend in Tasmania. And in the email, he had an outline. He said it had a link to this man called Dr. Awa. And it was concerning a tsunami for Australia. When I opened up the link to see this Dr. Awa, I realised he was an African man and that he was the man that was in my dream. So that's where that man That was the significance of that man. And he had a dream, which is on YouTube, which you can look up and see. He had a dream of a tsunami for Australia. Well, that was quite amazing to me. And that got my attention. Now, within about a month, I was offered some work with a builder in my street. And I ended up at a place called Little Bay in Sydney. And when I went to work at this building, I discovered the very same setting of the dream. And the Lord began to show me parts of the dream in my workplace. I looked out to sea and I saw the same vessel that was in my dream, which I've only seen it once in my whole life. Very unusual looking vessel. Then, as I was working in this building, on the second floor of this building, in the bedroom, I found the plans to the building that had been left behind by one of the builders or carpenters. And the name of the street that the building was built on, which didn't have a street sign as yet because they come up after the buildings are complete. This is a whole new area with many buildings being built. Many houses being built. It was a waterside suburb being developed and there were many houses being built. And the builder I was working for had 30 houses going on at that place. But there was many other buildings. There was over a couple of hundred buildings being built there, I'm sure. Now, the name of the street was McMaster Place. And McMaster is the name of my friend in Tasmania who sent me the email of Dr. Awa's prophecy, dream, vision, whatever you'd like to call it, concerning a tsunami for Sydney, Australia. And remember, that email I received the morning after I'd already had my first dream. Now, this is all confirmation. Peter McMaster sent me up the link for the email with the link on it to see this Dr. Awa's vision and prophecy concerning the dream for Sydney, Australia, the same very dream that I had the night before. So God was confirming who the man in the dream was. It was Dr. Awa, a Christian minister of the gospel, who is a medical doctor who worked in a hospital in, I believe, in Chicago or in the northern states of the United States for some time before he went back to Africa for full-time ministry. But he's a medical doctor. I don't know what his speciality is in medicine, but he's a medical doctor. Now, that very day that I was working in this building where I saw the elements of the dream, for instance, the boat, the sea, the location, the building, and the name of the street the building was on, McMaster Place, just confirmed the whole thing to me, that the Lord was proving to me and showing me that that dream he had given me was indeed from him concerning a tsunami for Sydney, Australia. Now, since this time, I have 3 other dreams, which I won't mention now, but they all concern tsunami affecting Australia, Sydney and other parts of Australia along the eastern coast. Thank you for your time.